Really pleased and honored to see again and meet many of our incoming presidents. And as you know, normally we would be having our first two sessions online, and then we'd be meeting in a nice environment for our third session. Well, unfortunately, because of the state emergency health orders, we can't do that, and that's created a challenge, but it also created some advantages as well. The advantages we're seeing is because we don't have to travel, many more of us can participate, and the cost is nil. We can also have outside speakers join us. The big challenge is we're not able to meet in a casual environment and enjoy the fellowship of each other. To help address this, I'm inviting all of you to join me at a happy hour the night before our upcoming district conference next month. And although we still won't be in person, it'll give us a chance to have fun, get to know each other better, and interact in a casual environment. My future club presidents, congratulations. You're embarking on what will prove to be one of the most exciting, frustrating, and rewarding experiences of your life. To have a nautical analogy, you'll be taking the helm of your club and guiding it through familiar straits and channels out into an open and exciting sea, constantly adjusting your sails to adapt to the ever-changing environment as you guide your club to its ultimate destination, its goals. Throughout your voyage, know that your district trainers, your district helpers, as well as at zone and at international, are always there to help you and guide you along the way, as we've all made similar trips and had comparable experiences. Your district training team, led by Jeff Weinrich, has put together a beautiful seminar for us where we will share all the tools and techniques that you can use on every day as your president, in your presidency, to have a fun and effective year. During our time together, we're going to be exploring many relevant subjects. The first one being how to empower your club to increase or create a vibrancy. That vibrancy creates tremendous power that is transferred to others who can't wait and help, but want to be part of your club and experience your fellowship and be part of its service. Over many years, our Rotary organization has evolved from one of exclusiveness and prestige to one of diversity and inclusiveness. Together, we will explore these concepts in today's world and discuss how we and why we should continue to embrace these concepts in our clubs today. To enhance, promote, and further our image in our community, we'll probe the possible results of having a consistent brand that we display more widely. One pleasant result we hope to achieve is to generate more questions about Rotary. And we're going to help you develop your own elevator speech so you can answer these questions and maybe even the more broad question of why Rotary. In addition to our discussions on leadership, we'll provide you a lot of the nuts and bolts you'll need as president. We'll share with you the district strategies and goals, as well as those of Rotary International. We're going to ask you to approve our district budget for the coming year. And no, we're not asking for a dues increase. Later, many of our district committee chairs will share their programs with you and how their teams can help your clubs throughout the year. Our last day together, we'll be joined by our incoming zone director-elect, Vicki Pulitz, who will expand on the Rotary International goals and objectives and leave no doubt in our mind as to why Rotary. Now, to bring this beginning to an end, I'd like to share with you the charge of our Rotary International President-elect Shekhar Mehtar, his two-phased charge to all of us. Grow more, do more. Grow more, do more. To grow more, he has a very simple request. Each one, bring one. Over the next 16 months, if each of us will bring one like-minded friend or associate to a quality Rotary function, we can't help but grow Rotary and reach his target of 100,000 new net members in Rotary International by the end of June of 2022. Shekhar Mehta's second charge to all of us is to do more. And he would like us to increase the impact of our service projects by combining the resources of 2 or more clubs with those of our community organizations on what he terms Rotary Days of Service. We'll talk more about that later. So my future presidents, district leaders, and change makers, let's together make a lasting impact on our world, in our communities, and in ourselves. We can and will achieve all we plan on doing as we keep in mind Shekhar Mehta's theme for our coming year. Serve to change lives. Now, as we cast off our bow lines and raise our sails and watch them billow with the winds of anticipation, I'm going to ask Jeff to take the tiller and begin our voyage together. Jeff?
Thank you so much, Bob. Okay, some announcements, and we do have time for introductions, which I'm happy we will. So this session is being recorded, so watch your language. And the recording will be available on our district YouTube page, and I will send you all the link tomorrow. In terms of Zoom rules, I really like that it's quiet right now. I'm not hearing any feedback. If at all possible, let's leave it like this. If we are hearing feedback or if there's noise, we'll need to mute everyone and we'll have to use chat and raising hands for questions. But let's see if we can just do it like this, because it's preferable if we can make it more interactive. So let's keep the microphones the way they are. If you are muted and you want to ask a question, just go ahead and unmute, and you can go ahead and ask your question. At the end of the third session of PETS, you'll get a survey. The feedback for district training is really important. So, but that won't be until later this month. So if there's anything that you need to remember about today, just jot it down, because we won't be asking for your feedback until the end of the third session. Zoom names. So if you have an opportunity sometime in the next hour or so, if you haven't done so, you can click on the top right of your own little window where you see a blue box with 3 dots, and you should see a rename. And if you could just put in your the club that you're with and your club or district role, and you'll see a number of us have already done that. Okay. Let's see. Before we do the introductions, Arturo, do you want to go ahead and take the picture?
Yes, that'll be great. So everybody, please smile. It's going to take a little bit because we have a great turnout. So just look at the camera. Everybody, please activate your cameras. We have some that are still missing. Smile. Keep smiling for a little bit. Give me 1 second. I have to change the screen. There we go. Keep smiling. Keep smiling. There we go. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, thank you, Arturo. Okay, let's go ahead and do introductions. And I'm going to use the participant list. Hopefully it won't be juggled, but when I call out your name, just your name and your club role. And so we already heard from Bob. Let's see, Bruce.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Bruce Bortner from the Rotary Club of Albuquerque del Sol. I'm a past assistant governor. I also teach for RLI and was at one time the director of RLI for the district. And now I am part of the district training team. So I'll be helping out this morning. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Bruce. And we have someone that says PDG. Oh, okay. That's gone. Dan Garrison.
I'm Dan Garrison from the Los Lunas Club, past district governor. This year, I'm chairman of the crisis response team, and I'm on the district training team. And next year I will be chair of RLI.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. Clint Weber.
I'm Clint Weber, Alpine and Marfa, Lieutenant Governor, Southeast Action Team, and this is my 10-year anniversary with District 5520.
Happy anniversary, and we're thrilled, Clint. Governor Sonny.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sunny Kellerman from the Rotary Club of Silver City, and I have the honor of serving as your governor.
Thank you very much, Sonny. Donna Pedacci.
Hi, Donna Pedacci. I'm with Albuquerque Del Norte, and I'm the chair of the Rotary Friendship Exchange, and I'm still drying my hair, so I'm
That's great.
Uh,
Thank you, Donna. Eric Eggleston.
Eric Eggleston, Ruidoso, New Mexico, and president-elect.
Congratulations, Eric. Thank you. George Greenlee.
I'm George. I'm the president-elect of the Los Lunas Club. Good to see you.
Thank you, George. Congratulations. Vicky Reisenbach.
Well, I'm Vicki Reisenbach, president-elect of Metro, Albuquerque Metro.
Awesome, Vicky. Thank you very much. Jimmy Melver.
Yes, good morning. My name is Jimmy Melver. I am with the our El Paso Northeast Club, and I'm the assistant governor for the South region.
Awesome, Jimmy. Thank you. Jerry Pike.
Jerry Pike, I'm with the Grants Milan Rotary Club, president this year. They haven't had anybody for president-elect, so I may be president again next year. So.
Thank you, Jerry. John Bishop.
John Bishop, president-elect, Santa Fe Rotary Club downtown.
Excellent. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Gordon Cox.
I'm Gordon Cox. I'm president-elect of the Angel Fire Club.
Awesome, Gordon. Thank you very much. Patrick Allerid.
Hi there. I'm Patrick Allerid, and I'm from Las Vegas, New Mexico, and I'm serving as the treasurer and the president-elect.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Matt Nyland.
Hi, everybody. Matt Nyland. I am the president-elect of the Rotary Club of El Paso. Glad to be here.
All right. Zoom screens are going all over the place, so if I call your name twice, please understand that it's Zoom acting up. Past District Governor Dick Jones.
Hi, I'm Dick Jones. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Santa Fe. I served as governor in 2009, 2010. This year, I am serving as the youth protection officer and also the operations coordinator for District Governor Sonny Kellerman. Good to see everyone this morning.
Thank you very much, Dick. Emily Blee. I hope
Hi, I'm Emily Blea, and I'm with the Albuquerque Sandia Club, and I am the president-elect.
Awesome, Emily. Sorry I didn't get your last name right.
Everybody calls it Blee, and I just go with it.
It looks too much like Flea. I'm sorry. It's just Don Reed.
Morning, everybody. Don Reed with the Rotary Club of Albuquerque, Rio Grande, and looking forward to things getting back to normal and enjoying all the backgrounds. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Peg from White Sands.
Hi, I'm Peg Krim from White Sands in Alamogordo, president-elect.
Awesome, Peg. Thank you. Past District Governor Tom Walker.
Tom Walker from the Rotary Club of Albuquerque. I am currently the foundation chair for the district as well as the Zone 26 Endowment Major Gifts Advisor. Next year, I will be Governor Bob's vice governor, and I am also the district representative to the 2022 Council on Legislation, which will be held next spring.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tom. Tyler Lucas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Lucas, and I am the president-elect for Clovis High Plains.
Thank you very much. Denise Weaver.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Denise Weaver from Roswell, New Mexico, the incoming president-elect.
Awesome. Thank you, Denise. Ann Allen.
Good morning. I'm Ann Allen. I'm with West El Paso Club, and I'll serve as secretary next year.
And might as well get them both taken care of. Jesse Allen.
I am Jesse Allen. I'm with Rotary Club of West El Paso, and I've been in the past assistant governor, lieutenant governor, head of RLI, and district trainer.
Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. Miguel Marquez.
Hi, good morning. I'm currently treasurer for West El Paso and president-elect.
Great. Thank you. Martin Lopez.
Good morning. My name is Martin Lopez with Rotary Club of El Paso. I'm currently board member and board member also on the foundation. And I'm on here a little early, but president-elect type.
That's great. Excellent. Thank you. Arturo.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Arturo Barrio, past president of the Camino Real Rotary Club, and I've been serving this year as district public image chair. We'll continue on that role next year, and also have been invited to serve as assistant director for Zone 26 public image team. So very excited to be here. I'm going to be asking for pictures, so please don't mind, just smile and go with it. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Arturo. Barry Fisher.
Hello, I'm Barry Fisher of the Las Cruces Rotary Club. I've been a member for 5 years of this club, was on the board of directors, and when our president-elect decided to leave town, they were looking for someone, and I got put in that position. So here I am, a bewildered president-elect, very much looking forward to this training.
Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. Ginger Palmer.
Hi, I'm Ginger Palmer, and I am the president-elect of the San Juan Rotary Club in Farmington.
Great. Thank you, Ginger. Bob Barnard.
Hi, I'm the president-elect of Las Cruces Rio Grande Rotary Club.
Great. Thank you. Bianca Cheney.
From Roswell Rotary Club. I will be the president-elect on July 1st. Thank you, Denise. And I am also on the District Youth Exchange Committee.
Great. Thank you, Bianca. Bill Lee.
Well, good morning, everybody. Bill Lee, president-elect for the Gallup Club, Gallup, New Mexico.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Brad Eckhoff.
Morning, everybody. Brad Eckhoff. I am the president-elect of Albuquerque del Sol.
Thank you, Brad. Carla Spaniel.
Hi, I'm Carla Spaniel. I am a member of the Ruidoso Rotary Club. I am also currently the assistant governor, and then I will be the coming up district trainer for District 5220. Have a lot to learn.
And I can't wait. Carolyn Moore.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Moore. I am president-elect for 2022-2023, and I'm from the Rotary Club of Santa Fe.
Great, Carolyn. Thank you. Clarence Hughes.
Good morning, Rotarians. Clarence Hughes, president-elect, Albuquerque del Norte.
Great. Thank you, Clarence. Claudia Gerst. Claudia? Claudia? It looks
Might
like
be stuck on mute, maybe.
I'm sorry?
Might be stuck on mute.
It looks like she was unmuted, but we'll come back.
Okay.
Clint Weber.
You already got Clint before, I think.
I'm sorry?
I think you already got me.
I got Clint. Okay, thank you. See, I knew it was going to happen. Dean Caldwell.
Hi, I'm Dean Caldwell from Taos Milagro Rotary Club, and I'm co-president-elect along with Kathy Herman for next year.
Excellent, thank you. Fred Bryant.
I'm with the Albuquerque Del Norte Club, and I'm District Bob, his operations manager, or hopefully. So you'll be seeing or hearing a lot from me, and hopefully we can get Bob around the state.
Excellent, thank you, Fred. Heather Wood.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians. It's great to be here. I am the president-elect for the Deming Club here, and fairly new member. I've been here 2 years and sit on the board. Very, very happy to be here and part of this training. Have a lot to learn. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, Isaac, is it Quiroga?
It's Quiroga. Yes, that's fine.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Isaac Quiroga. I am currently the secretary for the Rotary Club at UTEP and the next district Rotary representative.
Oh, awesome.
Yay. Hi, Isaac.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Jenny Rydell.
Good morning, Rotarians. I'm so happy to be here and see all of you. I am Vice President for Sunrise Rotary in Rio Rancho. I've been in Rotary for 13 years, and I'm also Public Image Chair. Have a beautiful morning.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. Jerry Reeder.
Good morning, everyone. Jerry Reeder from the Rotary Club of Rio Rancho, and I'm the president-elect.
Thank you, Jerry. Jimmy Melver.
You already got Jimmy.
You already got me.
Okay, thank you. John Jerusalem.
Good morning from Roswell, New Mexico. John Jerusalem. I'm your district governor nominee. I'm following Governor Bob. And it's great to see all you president-elects and president-elect nominees here. Great to have you.
Thank you so much, John. Keith Erickson.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians. My name is Keith Erickson. I'm with the Rotary Club of Northeast El Paso, and I am president-elect.
Excellent, thank you. Kathy Herman.
Hi, I'm Kathy Herman. I'm with the Taos Milagro Rotary Club, co-president-elect with Dean Caldwell. Nice to see everyone.
Thank you, great to see you too. Ken Gilman.
Ken Gilman, I'm the president-elect for Rotary Club of Albuquerque Downtown Edition.
I like that, Downtown Edition. That's good. Thank you. Kevin Long.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Long. I'm the president and president-elect for the Rotary Club of East El Paso.
Great, thank you, Kevin. Kevin Stepp.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Stepp from Rio Rancho, New Mexico. I am the vice president-elect, and I just thought it'd be cool to hang out with you president and governors today.
Well, it's cool to hang out with you too.
I want to be cool.
Thank you. Is it Kushru Dadiali?
That's actually very good. Thank you. This is Kush. That's what everyone typically calls me. I am the president-elect for Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Awesome. Thank you. Luisa Sanchez.
Hi, everyone. I'm the current president of the Rotary Club at UTEP and the current district Rotary representative, and I'm very happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Marcy Beatty.
Yes, hi, good morning. My name is Marcy Beatty, and I'm the assistant governor for the North Action Team, and I belong to the Taos Milagro Rotary Club.
Great, thank you, Marcy. Mark Goodman.
Morning, everyone. Mark Goodman, Vice President-elect from the Rotary Club of Albuquerque.
Thank you, Mark. Mark Tobiasen.
Morning, everybody. Mark Tobiasen. I'm the current president of the Rotary Club of Albuquerque. I guess we're calling that the downtown edition, thanks to Ken. And I'm next year going to be an assistant governor in Central.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Mary Tiemann.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Tiemann. I'm the vice president for the Rotary Club of Albuquerque del Norte.
Thank you. Matt Keats.
Yeah, good morning. I'm from El Paso Sunrise. This is round 2 for me. I was president 5 years ago and president-elect again this year. Looking forward to it.
Great. Thank you. Mayela Macias.
Good morning, Mayela Macias with the Rotary Club of El Paso, and I'm president-elect nominee this year.
Awesome. Thank you. Oliver Morris.
Good morning. Oliver Morris, president-elect from Los Alamos. I don't know if that came through, but Oliver Morris, president-elect from Los Alamos. Thanks.
Got it. Thank you. Is it Melissa Trevino? Melissa is on mute. Okay. Ron Hensley.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ron Hensley from Albuquerque del Sol, and I am assistant governor for the Central Action Team. Glad to see everybody this morning.
Thank you, Ron. Stuart Seegers.
Hi, Stuart Seegers with the Rotary Club of Moriarty. I too missed a meeting, so I'm now president-elect of the club. So,
Congratulations.
Okay, Tara, and I don't have a last name from Rio Grande, Las Cruces, Rio Grande.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tara Winter from the Las Cruces Rio Grande Club. I'm currently Sergeant of Arms and are following the Bob Barnard as president-elect next year.
Awesome, thank you. Veronica Hernandez.
Good morning. I'm Veronica Hernandez. I'm a member of Carlsbad Rotary. I'm the Lieutenant Governor for the East Action Team.
Great, thank you, Veronica. Leah Jordan.
Good morning. I'm Leah Jordan for Las Cruces Rotary Club. I am the Lieutenant Governor for the South Action Team.
Thank you, Leah. Willis Sharmer.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Willis from the Roswell Rotary Club, where I'm currently president, and I'm also the incoming district membership chair. So
awesome.
Good to see everybody.
Thank you, Willis. Jessica Chacon.
Hi, morning, everyone. I will be right now I'm the vice president of Rotary Club UTEP, and I will be the president-elect for 2021 and 2022.
Awesome. Okay, I am sure that there may be a few that I missed. If I missed your name, please go ahead and unmute and introduce yourself, please.
Jeff?
Go ahead.
I just want to introduce to everyone our new president, governor-elect nominee designate, Richard Haas from the Rotary Club of Las Cruces, Rio Grande. Richard, are you there? There's so many screens.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the Brady family here. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. All those letters behind my name looks like I've been dealt a bad Scrabble hand here. So like to buy a vowel. I think, yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
I'm John Morrison, and my internet keeps going in and out. I'm the president-elect of Socorro, and I'm also the new club chair for the district.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Is there anyone else that I missed? Okay. Thank you for that. So we're going to go into breakout rooms. There's going to be 5 of them. Room 1 is going to be facilitated by Bruce Bortner. Room 2 is going to be facilitated by Jesse Allen. Room 3 is going to be facilitated by Sonny Kellerman. Room 4 is going to be facilitated by John Drusidum, and I will facilitate room 5. So the goal between now and 10:30 is for you to ask questions, perhaps about the pre-work material, including the club president manual, which I heard back from some of you that you read the entire 75 pages, which is very laudable. But this is an opportunity to ask questions, kind of have an exchange of ideas. We'll be doing this off and on throughout the 3 sessions of PETS. And Jesse and Bruce and John and Sonny and myself will kind of lead the discussion and see if there's topics that would be of help to you. And so we're going to go ahead and break into these rooms and we will reconvene at 10:30. Okay?
Oh, not okay.
Between the rooms?
How do you get to them?
I will assign you.
Oh.
So I'm gonna open the rooms and we will go into 5 breakout rooms.
So you'll see something pop up on your screen that says accept a breakout room. He's going to assign
yes.
you to a breakout room, and then you're just going to press accept and it'll
Yes.
send you over and it'll send you back. You don't really have to do anything except for just press the button.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, here we go. Okay, welcome everyone. So, and Bob, you can float. So to set you up, you can.
Oh, float.
Yes, exactly. So before we get into some of the specific content, do you have any questions about being a club president, roles, responsibilities, challenges? And for those of you who have been club presidents before, please feel free to share your experiences and your wisdom. Any questions that you have?
Just here to be a sponge today.
So how can you be a good sponge today, Brad?
I've got my notebook here and I've got lots of coffee and yeah, I'm ready to hear what you guys have to put out there. I feel kind of small. I see all these big letters behind everybody's names and they've been doing this forever. So
well,
kind of the green pea here.
You'll be adding letters to your name as you go along.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly.
I can't wait to have a Scrabble name.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions before? Because what I wanted to do was.
There's a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Did someone have a question?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out if I never dreamt that I would uncover so much politics going on in our club, and as opposed to just like pure community service, and that's been an eye-opener for me, or at least that's my observation so far. And I'm curious as to what the advice is about if one group of Rotarians wants to participate in a community service project, like 10 or 20 Rotarians or whatever, and another group sort of from the same committee doesn't want to participate, in that community service project. And they won't even allow that question to come before the board.
That is a great question. I'm sorry.
So that's my question is, what kind of advice can you give? Also, one other thing came up in the presentation, in the introductions. I think there were a couple people that introduced themselves as co-presidents. is that, can you have co-presidents?
Well, there's no official position for a co-president. But if that works for a club, I'm not against it. As there's only one place in the Rotary International designation of president. There's no co-president. So they have to decide who's going to be the official president, but it can be shared. I don't see a problem with that.
Yep.
Yep. So I'm a much more of a big person, there's several issues I want to work on. I know in my year of presidency, and I think that someone else may be a far more better administrator and can deal with the politics of everything. And
I see clubs like a Thanksgiving Day family dinner. You gather, you have everybody, people have come in from out of town, different backgrounds, different life experiences, and it's family. You love each other, but you may differ on different ideas, and that's part of diversity. I think is not only all the different things we talk about diversity, but also diversity of ideas and ideologies. But it's probably not a good idea to bring up political or religious ideas at the dinner table, because it's just going to cause a
right.
discussion.
I'm more talking about
But
the internal politics of the club.
As far as your project goes, I think, again, you can sort of embrace that with diversity, that if I understand you right, some people want to participate in certain service projects for whatever reason, and some people don't.
Yes.
And you could also have other projects that they might enjoy that other people won't.
Right.
That's part of diversity.
But what happens if they won't allow it to go to the board to be approved by the board?
How does that happen?
Because it's within the committee.
Right.
And the committee has to make a reference to the board.
So I can say when I was club president, I had to basically put on a mediation hat twice.
A mediation what?
Hat.
Yeah.
I had to kind of serve as a mediator, and that was done in private, offline, and they were very open and honest discussions. And I try to find an area where they can agree. And there were areas that they could not agree. And so I would say, well, for the area that we can agree, can we go forward with that? And if we do, are you going to be okay with that? It's not easy. But part of this year of being a president-elect, and we're going to talk about this later, is to observe the membership. Where are their tiffs? Where are their disagreements? Because part of your role as a club president is to help move things along. And if people can't come to agreement, even at the committee level, you may be in the best position to help figure out how can we move forward. And it may not be the full pie, right? So I think that is, and I think you should be observant for those situations, because you may have to step in. The key is you don't want to micromanage, right? You can't do everything. But when you see that kind of friction and it's not moving anywhere, you may be in a position to kind of help figure out, how to make lemonade out of lemons.
Well, the only issue with that is that in this particular case, it's my idea.
Okay.
That's the issue.
So it's your idea, and some of the committee members who would be implementing your idea don't agree. Some
do, some don't. That's right.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's
it's sort of like 50-50.
Yeah. So, for those of you who have been in this position before, Clint, Tom, others, you may have input on this, but I guess what I would say is, if you can't get buy-in on an idea.
You mean buy-in from 100% of the club, or buy-in from 50% of the club, or what percent?
Well, I think it depends. But at the committee level, if the committee who is charged with implementing your idea don't agree, then there needs to be more discussion, right? You don't want to force it, I don't think. But I think that's still where you say, well, what part of this do you not agree with? And is there anything we can do to maybe adjust it so that it's something that you can agree with?
In this case, the committee that was putting it on, they're not going to participate in. It's more the newer members and a whole another group of our club that wants to do this, sort of like do this particular service project. And so it's bringing in new members into the thinking process and into the committee.
Right. Tom, go ahead. You've got your hand.
Have you talked to each of the people?
Yes.
Have you talked to each of the people who have an issue with it and found out why? I mean,
yeah,
and
there's different opinions on it.
Yeah,
I was viewing it primarily as an opportunity to get out into the community and spread the word of Rotary and diversity in our community, bringing in different groups of possible members into our club.
Tom, go ahead.
John, let me make a couple observations here. Number one, your club is one of the larger clubs in the district, and I presume you know your members well enough. There may be somebody else that could be the mediator that's respected by all the people. And
Tom, thank you.
If that individual could sit down and talk with folks and honestly hear what everybody is saying, and remember, just because the committee cannot come to agreement doesn't mean that it doesn't get out of committee. You know, our Congress.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Lots of times, basically forwards it to the body with no recommendation.
Yeah.
And so theoretically, what could happen would be that the proposal or proposals would go to the board, and each side would make their own presentation on it, and the board would then supposedly decide and possibly present that to your membership. This project has come forward and so forth. And the board thinks that we should or should not. What do you guys think?
In this case, if the committee votes no, should that recommendation of no also go to the board?
Well, if you've got a mediator, then that's a way around it.
Yeah.
Mediator, because you've appointed the mediator, and the mediator goes and mediates and comes back with whatever he comes back with, and you present that to the board.
And you present the mediation to the board.
Yes.
Right. So when you first broached the subject, I assumed that you were going to be the mediator, but since you're a party to it, I think Tom is right. It's important to have someone that can kind of help, someone that's trusted that can talk
like
to
a Tom Simon or someone like that.
Yes. The only other thing I would say is that, the training I had for pets was just fantastic. And one of the things that I remembered is they said, you're not going to win, and I'm paraphrasing, you're not going to win every battle.
Yeah, right.
So pick and choose, right?
You got to pick your battles.
Pick and choose, and if you want to do something and the membership is not bought in, then it's going to be really hard for it to be successful.
I know.
Yeah.
And remember, as a president, you're sort of the chairman of the board, but you still just have one vote.
Right.
And so, no matter how strongly you feel and how much you can present your position, it's really the majority of the board that decides on the direction.
Right. I guess my question is it typical that an area of community of serving the community is blocked?
Well, is it blocking, or is it Is it just a preference that they don't, I guess you could reuse the word block, but everybody's got different ideas. And if the majority of the people on the board decide that that's not what they would like the club to do, that's just the way it happens. That's
Remember, you don't need everybody on board.
Right.
You need a sizable fraction. And of course, Albuquerque is the largest club in the district, and we do things, and we'll have a group go off and do Navajo Hope. Some people are doing something else, and so forth. Everybody does what fits their desires and so forth. So if the club comes back and tells you 90%, we don't think you should do that.
Well, yeah, but if it's a 50-50 thing,
it's hard. Again, I would look for the common ground when it's 50-50, because it may be, half pie rather than the full pie.
Right.
But I guess the message is that this
mediator, I like that. That's very good advice. Thank you.
It is common that something's going to come up that the membership, a significant amount, don't agree.
Yeah.
And you just need to be prepared on how you're going to handle that situation. And again, each situation is different. And that's why it's so important to get to know the membership. Who can you talk to? Who's open and honest? And I think that's the real significance of this 12-month period when you're preparing to be president. It's more important, and I was thinking about this in preparation for today. A lot of times we'll hear incoming presidents say, well, I've been observing the current president. It's like, that's great, but you're not the current president. They may have a very different personality, a different approach. It's more important to observe the membership and figure out what's going to be your approach to work with them. And again, every situation is different.
What happens if you find someone who is, people who aren't like necessarily completely candid with the truth?
Sorry.
You're working with people.
What?
You're working with people, and you can't have blanket.
You're working with people. Boy, that's good advice, Bob. Thank you. Really?
I mean, you are. You have. Everybody doesn't live by the four-way test all the time.
Right.
It's just that's why they put you in charge.
I think the main thing is, people are who they are. You need to be confident in your approach as the leader of the club for that 12-month period. And if you know that there's people that are not going to always be truthful, you kind of need to incorporate that into your thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
And most of our members will value an honest hearing of whatever their concerns are, and should the club decide to go the other way, they've been hurt, and their position's been hurt, and some things have come up in my club, and I communicated with the president about my concerns and why it's that way, and the board made its decision one way or another, and that's good enough for me. Not a hill I'm going to die on.
Right.
Clint, do you have any feedback on this from your experience?
Well, I've been in that exact same position many times over the years, and I have found that I'll refer to the board in this case as the core group. So I found that the core group will come together, and as president, you're over those board meetings, and you bring it into a discussion with the board. And I found that if it's beneficial to the club, no matter what, that gets past any malcontented attitude or person or place or thing that might get at that core root of the problem. And I found that you can make a few adjustments to satisfy that person and still go forward with something. And Dave Anderson once told it to me like this: Clint, if it's important, you got to get it done. And so if you can do that with everybody in mind, generally you can get it done or a version of it done to where everybody's happy. I hope that makes sense.
It's an interesting part of being a president. It's not just what's on paper, because you're dealing with people, as Bob and Tom also said, with personalities and strong opinions and passion. And that passion may not all be aligned, right? So a really good point. Any other questions? Because I do want to go through a few sections of the club president's manual, but before we do that, are there any other questions that you have?
In reading the manual, how to set goals with your club members. We have a large club, and I've been in it just a little over 3 years now, and I don't remember any president getting up at the front of the room at a club meeting and saying, what should our goals be and how should we get there? So will that be discussed or?
You betcha. In fact, that'll be a big part of next Saturday. But having said that, it is a big part of being an effective club president, but not everyone does it. And in fact, Sunny will tell you, the current governor, that when she logs into Rotary Club Central, there are still a number of clubs, and now it's we're 3/4 of the way through the Rotary year, that still haven't put goals into Rotary Club Central. They're just not there. And that doesn't mean they don't exist, but it's like, well, part of using Rotary Club Central is not just to enter goals, but to monitor progress and how are we doing. And some clubs just don't. And that's, I would say, and Bob is still on, one of the most important roles of assistant governors is to help the clubs and the presidents who are struggling with goals or who don't see the value of goals. It is important. Bob, did you want to say anything on that?
Well, I think, you're going to, a club survey, as opposed to just standing up and saying, what should our goals be? Having a survey ahead of time and have people put down what they think that the club should be accomplishing during the year. And then go to each of the committee chairs and say, what would you like to accomplish in your committee as far as growth of membership, community projects, growth of foundation contributions, get those inputs as well, and then sit down with your board to determine that you can't have a goal discussion with 60, 70 people. That's what you have a board for. But you could get the inputs from the clubs going into that, or the club members going into that.
Yeah, and I would say, generally speaking, a successful organization that does not have a plan with goals is successful because of luck. And the problem is luck is not sustainable. Luck changes. So we're big proponents, and Rotary International, especially in the last few years, has gotten a lot more on the plan bandwagon. They set out those strategic priorities. We'll talk about that on Saturday. And it's great because we are Rotary clubs. There are things that we should be doing because we are Rotary clubs, and RI puts a nice infrastructure there for us to all consider and align our plans to. So very important.
I think, a lot of us will think, as presidents, we're in charge of everything. Well, you're leading your club, you're leading your board, but you're not making all the decisions. In fact, you're making very few decisions. You're giving opinions, you're inspiring, but it's really up to the board. And the board reflects your membership because they're all elected. So work with your boards on this.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll talk a lot about goals and planning next Saturday. Any other questions before we bring up the President's Manual? Okay.
I got a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So, our club gets along very well, but there's, and to put it, how the club described themselves before I got there, and I'm actually the youngest one in the club at 41, but old, pale, and stale is kind of how they describe themselves from the beginning. And we're getting a lot better. We're getting a lot more diverse. We got women coming into the club now. We got a younger crowd, which is over 40, would be younger in the crowd. And we seem to get along pretty well, but I mean, does anybody else have a dynamic like that and any advice as far as getting the old crew and the new crew kind of melding together? So we do socials, and it's very hard to do a social right now during COVID, and we started socials before COVID hit. But then that it didn't die off, but we still got, Zoom socials, which is fine, but it's not quite the same thing. But does anybody have any ideas within their club as far as what they do to get the old guard and the new guard together?
Are they service projects?
I was going to say, are they working together on service projects?
We do, yeah. We work pretty well together on service projects.
Have more.
And the old guard's stuck in their way of, they're like, well, this is what we've always done. And the new guard seems to be, we have, everybody has newer ideas coming into it. And it's like, well, maybe we can get the newer guard more involved in the.
Right.
So anyone have feedback on that? I have one thing, but I want to wait until we hear from others.
Our club, Stuart, is kind of going through the same thing yours is, where we have the old guard and we have a lot of new younger members coming in. It's going to be an interesting dynamic because we've been on Zoom for a year now. And I'm not quite sure how we've had some younger members in before COVID, and everyone seemed to kind of gel together. Everyone sits at the same tables and changes tables and gets to know the older members. One of the things I plan on doing is once all this is lifted, is doing a lot more socials and reaching out to the younger members to come join and be a major proponent of those. I'm really going to be focusing on doing more outside meeting social activities. And hopefully that'll bring everyone together.
The old guard, sorry.
Excuse me, when I joined Rotary 3.5 years ago, one of the first things that happened to me was I was assigned, and really it was assigned, I didn't get a chance to volunteer, to work on a project, but I was assigned to kind of shadow someone that had a lot of experience in the club. And it was for our golf tournament, and I don't even golf. And here, now I'm in charge of the golf tournament. And this gentleman that I shadowed for 2 years, he has taught me everything I need to know about that. And it's very successful. Something would have been very difficult for me to learn by myself, but assigning somebody that's younger and new with somebody that has a whole lot of experience, either running a program or is familiar with Rotary, worked very well for me.
So something to think about, because that's a great question. When you think about the health of your club, it's either struggling and you want to help the club recover, or it's on a good kind of plane and you want to kind of keep it going, or you're kind of one of those visionary leaders and you want to even do more to help the club grow and prosper. So the club is in some state. If the club is struggling and you recognize that you need to help it kind of recover, the old guard is going to be tough, because they're the ones who, unless they see the need, they're not feeling like they want to see a lot of change. And if you determine that the club needs a lot of change because it's not in a good state right now, then when we talked before about, mediation and kind of talking to people offline, you may have to talk with the old guard. You don't want them to just sit there with their arms crossed in the back of the room or on Zoom and just not paying attention or being disengaged. You still want them to be engaged, but they are old guard for a reason. And so that's a group that, depending upon what you're trying to accomplish, you may have to have some discussions with and kind of see how much they're willing to give a little bit, because once you're in that comfort zone, it's hard to get out of it. The goal is never to get into it, right? But that doesn't happen. It is what it is. And the new members can be really turned off by that, right? If they start saying, well, I'd like to see us do this, I'd like to see us do this, and the old guard just keeps shooting them down, they're going to stop. You know, so it's an important thing to consider and an important group of people that you want to try to understand and see how you can work with them so that they can be more receptive. And yeah, Zoom has not been great for the old guard. A lot of the old guard doesn't like this. And which is unfortunate, but understandable, right? And I don't know what your experience is, but over the course of the year, I've seen some of the old guards start to come back slowly. And some of them are just like, you know what, I can't do this. And we've talked about this at the district level too. You know, it's like, I don't know how much longer this is going to be. And there's going to be some shakeups with people leaving because they're not getting a good Rotary experience right now. But hopefully, unfortunately, that's happening. But hopefully, once this is over, we will become stronger than we were before.
Yeah, that's unfortunate too, because I mean, I just find that even though we are only connecting on Zoom, it's still one of the opportunities to actually connect with people outside of your house. You know, it's like, otherwise you're just here, you know, with your house and not seeing or talking to anybody else hardly.
Yeah.
Our membership has gone from 130 to 80.
Oh, wow.
Over a gradual decline.
Yeah.
Over the year.
And I'm looking for ways to increase membership.
Right.
And diversity.
So taking a step back, John, if that's been happening to the club, the notion, and it may take, let's say, 5 years, but the notion is we went from 130 to 80, fine. We need to stop the hemorrhaging, if you want to call it that, and have a plan to go forward. And it may take 5 years, may take longer, but understand what the cause was of the people leaving, try as best you can to mitigate that, and then have a plan for growth. Sometimes the best ideas come in the midst of struggle because we don't have a choice. So, any other questions or thoughts about that topic?
One other thing.
Yeah.
In prepping my incoming board, I've also taken like 2 or 3 of seasoned Rotarians and then put in more newer members that have had like either 2, 3, 4 years in Rotary to kind of engage the younger members. And I think that's going to be a big help, because the younger members, they're also younger, they're also newer, and they're going to be on a board position within Rotary and hopefully start spreading the word, hey, I'm on the board of Rotary, to their friends, which might be a good way to increase membership.
So the only other thing I would mention about this, this has been a really good discussion. I appreciate your questions. You know, once you agreed to become president-elect, if that's your role, and we talked about this with assistant governor training a few weeks ago, a lot of what you're doing is building and strengthening relationships. That's really at the core of Rotary or relationships. And right now a lot of it's on Zoom, but be that as it may, the time before July 1st, so like right now, is a good time to build and strengthen relationships. You're not needing to wait till July 1st, right? So this is a good time as you're observing the members and you're observing the committees and you're seeing, you know, who are the naysayers and who's doing all the work and all of that. And use this time to kind of talk with them and understand them and listen to them so that when July 1st rolls around, you feel good about the relationships and you can kind of move forward in your year as president. But this is a good time to really be thinking about that if you haven't been already.
Have most other people already met with their board? You know, we just I haven't met with my board, you know, as in one unit yet.
Let's put it this way, if you haven't yet, we will certainly recommend as part of PETS that you do so, right? Yeah, because the next few months are critical, because once July 1st rolls around, you want to hit the ground running, right? So this is the time to meet with the incoming board, set priorities, determine what your goals are, all of that, and get the committees ready to go, especially if you've got new people coming in to serve on your board. So I would say yes, this is the perfect time to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we do find presidents who will hold off, and then July 1st rolls around, and then they start meeting, and it's like that's the first 3 months of the Rotary year is kind of wasted in a way, because they're figuring things out when really they should be figuring things out before July 1st, right? Does that make sense? Okay, we've got about 15 minutes left. Would it be worth bringing up the President's Manual? We'll just go through a few key areas. This document is in that Club Runner section. I hope the Club Runner instructions on how to get to the files, I hope that worked. If it doesn't work, let me know, but it's helpful to have that section in Club Runner where you can have all your president material. So here's the manual. You also got a copy as part of your pre-work. This first section here is really important. And by the way, this is like a 3-year manual. So this, I think, this upcoming year is the last year for this version. So there'll be a new version the year after. But this first section here are key changes. And it's good to know. So for example, not that any of you would be interested, but a club president's term could be extended for up to 1 year when her successor has not been selected. There was a club dues increase. There were a few other really interesting things. Oh, Rotarians can make up for absence at their club meeting within the same Rotary year. We no longer have that, within a month or within a couple weeks. It's anytime during the year they can make up for attendance. Rotaract clubs are now members of Rotary International. They weren't before. That's huge. Classification limitation has been removed. So you can't really have a quota well, it's not you can't, but Rotary International is saying we're dropping the quota on whatever classification you're looking at. So that can help design new clubs. You can have a club of engineers or a club of accountants or a club of lawyers. That scares me, but so I would say take a look at this new section and make sure you're familiar with the recent changes, because some of them may be applicable to your clubs.
I have a question about diversity.
Yep.
I happen to have a very diverse family from all over the world. My daughters are married to, anyway, and I read the Rotary International, their new document on diversity. And so I've adopted my phrase for my Rotary year is service, friendship, diversity. Now, I'd like to have a discussion about what people really, what is meant by diversity. And are we going to follow what Rotary International says? Should we be bringing that into the club?
So,
and really reflect the diverse nature of our community.
Right. So we're going to be talking. So it's called the Rotary initiative is called DEI, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We're going to talk about that at one of the later PET sessions. But it is important. It's kind of I guess I'd call it a strong consideration. Rotary doesn't mandate many things, but they want us to think about this. They want us to consider diversity in our clubs, and each club may consider it differently, but that is something that we're going to talk about at PETS, because that's something that Rotary is promoting. It's interesting because, when women entered into Rotary, and by the way, in 2 days, it's Rotary International Women's Day, and I'm thrilled because it's been a long time coming. But But when that happened, that was monumental. And of course, some people were not happy, and there was some shuffle. Well, if we embrace diversity, there may be the same kind of thing. There may be some people that are unhappy about that. But if we believe that that's in the best interest of the sustainability of our Rotary Club, then we would think more about diversity. That's kind of what they're saying. But yeah, we'll be talking about that, I believe, next week. Any other input on diversity? Have you heard much about it? Again, we'll talk about it during PETS, but has that kind of been on your radar screens?
We had someone from the Taos Club, and I'm sorry I forget his name, but he came and he actually spoke at a Zoom meeting to our group, which I thought was really great, with a whole presentation about encouraging diversity.
Was it Louis Jantet?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, he is our district diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator.
It was a really good presentation.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
What's his last name?
It's Jeantete.
Yeah, I would, if you were interested in that, it was an excellent.
Yeah, and he may be with us when we do the DEI part of PETS later.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah. Okay, so again, just check out this new section here. I would say the other part that I would mull over. Don't get a headache while I'm scrolling. It's pretty near the top. Okay, your job as club president. So it's got like a checklist for presidents-elect. Good, it's a great checklist. If you haven't done these or some of these, you've got 3 or 4 months before July 1st. So it's great. Not surprised, and see right here, set and track goals for your club.
Hey, Jeff, I would remind you to make sure you're in the right year because it defaults to the current year. So make sure you're in next year, which is 21-22.
Right. I hope everyone understood that. So when you're going into Rotary Club Central, it's going to default to this year unless you toggle it to next year to enter next year's goals. Thank you, Tom.
Referring to Rotary Club Central as Club Runner or My Rotary?
Rotary Club Central is through the Rotary.org website. So you log in through My Rotary.
My Rotary.
Okay. Yes. So all of that, the goals and progress against goals, all of that is in Rotary Club Central. Yes.
So then what's the difference with Club Runner?
Well, so the district website,
okay,
which we lovingly call Club Runner because that's the web. Okay. Sorry, it's the district website. The district website you will use for other reasons. And Danette Wagner, our executive secretary, will do a demo next Saturday on that. But Club Runner is really more for like membership and foundation materials and trainings and things like that, but not for goals.
Can you enter data in Club Runner and it uploads to My Rotary?
Membership data, yes. They are in sync.
Are you leaving?
Right. I will say though, because I think I was president the first year they had the sync. I don't trust syncing. So if they say it syncs, I will still log in and make sure that the information that was put in one place ends up in the other. I just don't trust it. So I do verify.
Part of the problem is when you enter something in Rotary Club Central, spelled RI, it does not filter down. Membership data, almost all of it filters up when you enter it in Club Runner from the district website. Now, for grants, district grants are done on the district website, and they'll talk about that in grant training. All the RI grants are done on the RI website through Grant Central, and they'll talk about that during grant training.
Thank you, Tom. So this is a good checklist for you if you're president-elect now. And then the following page has a longer checklist, no surprise, for your president year. It doesn't mean you can't think about them now, but they're likely things that you're going to be doing while you are president. Okay. So if you really understand those two checklists and you follow them, you will very likely have a successful outing as club president. They're great. Just a lot of good common sense, and it's good to stay on top of things, you know, in terms of what needs to be done the first quarter, second quarter, things like that. So I would say that is a really important part. And then, you know, the manual is great. And one reason we kind of had you do this as pre-work or download the manual is we don't cover all of the manual in pets. That would, you know, there's a lot in here. We cover certain topics, but we kind of use pets to complement the content in the president's manual. So if you do have any questions as you kind of scroll through this, don't hesitate to ask. Because even because we've got 3 Saturday sessions of pets, we certainly can't cover everything. So, you know, if you do have any questions, you've got different people you can reach out to. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everyone. So if you have questions, get to know your assistant governor if you don't know them already. Again, if you're a president-elect, your assistant governor, you have an assistant, the club has an assistant governor now. Your club is going to have an assistant governor next year, and it may be a different person.
How did we find out who the assistant, who's Santa Fe assistant governor?
You can find it on the district website. Okay. On the homepage, there's a place where it says district organization chart. Yeah. And you can click on next year, because if you click on this year, you're going to see this year's assistant.
Right, I got you.
You can click on next year and see who, because District Governor-elect Bob has assigned assistant governors, so you can find out who they are. And we told them in their training, they need to reach out to you as incoming presidents and get to know you and talk to you and find out what's going on with the club. But I would say, don't wait. If you have any questions specifically, I would say assistant governor is a great resource. That's their job, is to help your club and help you. If you have a question about a particular committee or a particular aspect, like if you have a membership question, you can ask someone on the district membership committee. If you have a foundation question, you can ask someone on the Rotary Foundation committee. So you can go to the committees too. But I would say assistant governor first, only because they're really your primary resource. You may only see them a couple of times a year, but they should be available to you at any time. If you have questions, problems, if you have that issue we talked about earlier about you've got 2 groups of people that are not getting along, assistant governor, number 1. In our district, we also have lieutenant governors. So Clint, who was on a few minutes ago, he's a lieutenant governor. We have 5 in the district because we're so large. I will just say this, and Tom is here, so I don't think I'll say anything that he would disagree with, but he may. Not all assistant governors are awesome. We hope that they are. But if you reach out and you're not, oh, Clint is back on, okay. If you reach out to your assistant governor and you're not getting the support you need, talk to the lieutenant governor. Let them know. Ultimately, we are here to serve and support you and the clubs. So if you're not getting the support you need, don't just stop. Reach out, because that's our job to help you.
So the assistants report to the lieutenants and the lieutenant reports to the governor?
Correct. Correct. So because we're so large geographically, we're one of the few districts that have lieutenant governors because we're so large. And Rotary International doesn't recognize lieutenant governors. There's not like a lieutenant governor training or something, but we have lieutenant governors, and they're very helpful.
That's because of the geographics. I mean, wow, and we're actually 2 states since we have El Paso.
Correct.
So yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it's ironic because right now geography doesn't matter because Zoom is Zoom, right?
It will come back, hopefully, though.
It will come back. Yeah, it will come back. And one thing we did talk about, I'll just mention it real quickly here. there are certain parts of our district, primarily the urban centers, where the presidents get together and chat and share ideas, right?
Mhm.
We'd like to see that across the district. It's geographically harder in rural parts of our district because they're not going to drive, let's say, 2 hours for a cup of coffee, but they can certainly have Zoom meetings, even when we're meeting in person. Let's say the clubs are. Let's say the club presidents in the Roswell, Ruidoso, Portales area want to have a Zoom meeting and chat and share ideas and so on. So we really like that idea of what, council of presidents, whatever you want to call it, but we'd like to see it happen district-wide without people having to travel to get together. But there's been a lot of positivity that comes out of presidents getting together, sharing ideas, vent, right? You can vent with your fellow presidents. You're all in this together. So that's another thing to think about. We have a few, go ahead.
I would think for the rural areas, that would be really useful because I would bet that rural clubs have their own sets of challenges and things that might be different from the urban clubs.
Yep. And, the geography in our district is not what you would call ideal. I'm just looking at who's on here. The East region is tough because it's very big. But on Zoom, it doesn't matter. But the lieutenant governor and the assistant governors for the East region have this, I would say, unique challenge. And I would say, actually, Clint, your area is also unique. There may not be a lot of clubs in the Southeast, but they're so far apart. So again, this finding ways like Zoom to get together and chat and share ideas, I think is something we're going to go forward with, even when we go back to clubs meeting in person again.
Well, it's been nice to be able to have speakers that aren't necessarily here in our area, but we can still have them on Zoom, and it's great. You get exposed to things that are totally new.
Yeah.
We had an ocean expert from Denmark.
Oh. We had someone from Russia.
Marine biologist.
Yeah. But on the flip side, there are people who really yearn for the fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as we get to know each other just looking at computer screens, it's just not the same as being in person, right? So it's that balance. And I know a number of clubs are going to try to transition to hybrid meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's a great idea, but it's just hard logistically to make sure everyone's engaged and everyone can hear. But that's what we're going to really try to focus on. So, all right, it is close to 10:30. I'm going to go ahead and leave the room, and I will reconvene everyone in about 30 seconds. Thank you all for the discussion. This is just the beginning, okay? So don't feel like you have all your questions answered in the first hour of PETS.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jesse. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Hope your breakout room experience was a positive one.
Pretty positive.
Hope so.
We are due for a 15-minute break. So let's go ahead and take a break, and we will reconvene at 10:45.
Cool.
Winds it once a month, once a week, he winds it and it chimes on the hour.
Okay, let's go ahead and start. It's 10:45. A couple of quick announcements. Bob would like the pets leadership team to meet, if possible, right after we're done today. So that would be the Governor String and Jesse and Bruce and myself. Dan, you're welcome to join us, John as well. So we'll just stay logged in if you can do that. A couple of you had expressed in your breakout rooms you were having issues accessing the documents in Club Runner for that area that we set up. If you're having any issues, if you can't log in to that section or you're having any issues, let me know, because I manually set that up, and everyone who registered should be in there. If you didn't register, you wouldn't be in there. So just send me an email or send me a text, and I will make sure that you have access, because that section of Club Runner is not just important for today, but it's going to be useful for next Saturday and the third session as well, and maybe after that. So it's easier to just reach out to me individually if you have any issues with that Club Runner section for files. Okay. Be a Vibrant Club manual. Bruce, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Let me go ahead and bring it up. I will share my screen with you guys.
And by the way, if you're already a Vibrant Club, it could be a Vibrant Club ongoing, or be a more Vibrant Club. It's still relevant.
Right. Or increase your vibrancy.
Yes.
Vibrancy is a variable.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got 30 minutes in which to cover these 10 items, these 10 things. I need to move my, there we go.
I think the Beach Boys sang about this.
Yeah. So that works out to about 3 minutes per item, and I'm going to have when I get to the brand center, Arturo is going to help me out. So hopefully, most of you have seen this, and I can't. If you would electronically raise your hands, if you have seen or because we've given four workshops on this since September. So raise your hand electronically if you are familiar with, Vibrant Club. Okay.
We're getting a good number of raised hands, Bruce.
Very good. That's all I need to know. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to talk a lot about these except introduce them, and that because I want to leave time for questions if anybody has any questions about them. And Jeff, I'll be counting on you to spot those for me because I can only see a few people now. Okay, you can take your hands down. I appreciate that. So let's start. Vibrancy. First off, let's look at the definition of vibrant, something that we did when we did our workshops. Vibrant simply means exhibiting energy or activity. Okay. So now we're going to apply it to Rotary and our club meetings and our clubs themselves. And this whole, it's a 4-page document on being a vibrant club. The first couple of pages are devoted to an example of a vibrant club up in Rochester, Minnesota. If you have a chance, take a look at that. We're not going to look at it today because due to time, but there's a lot of good information in there. But remember that every club is different. So they're not all, what they did may or may not work for your club. But it's kind of interesting that, but the kind of thread, if you will, if I can use that terminology, is that they change things around. Things were, to make them interesting. So what can you do to make your club more vibrant, to engage? And first thing they say that Rotary says is vibrant clubs engage their members. That means they get them involved, right? That's the key. Conducting meaningful projects and trying new ideas. So let's take a look at the first section here. And that is decide what your club would be like in 3 to 5 years. Okay, this is basically strategic planning. When I was a club president, I had the good luck to follow Jeff Weinreich as president. And Jeff had conducted, he did a health check. He did, as you can see on here, it talks about start with a health check. Let's find out where we are to determine, we need to know where we are before we decide where we're headed. And then use the strategic planning guide to help set long-term goals. And so Jeff set up a 3-year plan. I was his follow-on, so I was part of that. The only thing we lacked was who was going to follow me. And that would have been really good to have. Fortunately, the president that followed me was on board with what we had done up to that time. So it's really important to get those key people involved. I want to also point out and remind everybody that this particular document is best if you can download it, have it electronically, because each one of these highlighted things, such as the Rotary Health Club check, Rotary Club Health check, and the Strategic Planning Guide, these are links. You can just click on them and they'll take you right to the document that that you can use to do this portion of the vibrancy.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where can I get access to this document?
I will email it to you, Louisa, since you don't have a Club Runner account.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff.
And Bruce, I set up, for those of you who do have the Club Runner area with all the files, I set up a subdirectory in Club Runner that's basically called Vibrant Club Materials. So these different documents like the health check and the planning guide are in that Club Runner section for you all to access.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, Jeff. So the key takeaways here are that the health check is for something that this is done by the club president and or with key members of the staff, I call them staff. Yeah, right. The board, right? And the whole idea is, what do you think, the current health of the club is? And it is the ground part of, setting the ground starting point for your strategic planning. Let's figure out where we are now. How healthy is the club? What areas do we need to, or do we agree on that we need to fix? And how are we going to do that? And you do that through strategic planning, all right? And the strategic planning guide, ooh, we're getting some feedback for something. But the strategic planning guide then is your key for setting up your long-term goals. And once you've done that, then if we jump over to the right here, and it says decide on your annual goals and enter them into Rotary Club Central. And we were in teaching this, I think, last a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's part of AGLG training. And Jeff made a very interesting observation. These two things, deciding on what your club is going to be like, and then putting your goals, they're hand in hand. They're glued together, if you will. You can't have one without the other. On the one hand, you need to have your goals, and to do that, you've got to have strategic planning guide. So you wouldn't do a strategic planning without having a goal. On the other hand, you need, if you're going to have goals, you got to have strategic plan. So they work very, very closely together.
Are they typically updates of previous years?
Okay, say that one more time.
Are they previous? Are they basically updates from previous years?
It's not a bad, and Jeff, you can chime in on this. As far as what's happened in the past can be used as a starting point. But just simply updating and saying, oh, this worked really good last year. Let's just add a couple of, that might work or it might not. I think it's, and Jeff, what are your thoughts on that? I think strategic planning is more than simply updating.
Well, it depends on how successful the plan is, right? If the plan is generating good results, then it's good to still review it and maybe just tweak it some. If the plan isn't working, then you don't want to keep doing it, right? So part of what you want to do if the club currently has a plan is to assess how the plan is working. And then based on that, decide how much needs to be changed, adjusted, kept, etc.
Yeah, and John, you're right on the money. And if you have a 3-year plan, yeah, you're not going to come up with a brand new 3-year plan the next year. It's exactly what you said. Let's see how we did. How are we progressing? What worked? What do we need to change? But you don't need a whole new plan. You can just update the one that you just did. So in that case, I think that's fine.
Yeah, you'll be reviewing your milestones to accomplish the goals that you've set, your 3 to 5 year goals. But you can also, as things change, you can continue to add new strategic goals that you want to accomplish down the road because of changing circumstances.
Yeah. And in the previous section, you know, where we were talking about the manual, you know, for presidency, we talked a lot about goal setting, and one of the things that I pointed out is, you know, as a PE, you're going to become president, but even as a PE, Rotary Club Central is your best friend. It can give you so much information, and you can get it fairly quickly. The key is to keep it updated. But at a glance, you can see everything that your club is doing and how well they're doing it. And some of it's done automatically. Things like membership, donations to Rotary International, those are automatically updated in Club Central for you. So if you ever want to know,
Central?
Go ahead.
Where is Rotary Club Central? I mentioned that there were 4 or 5 websites. Which one is it on?
You go to Rotary International. The first thing you have to do is you have to sign in and become a member of My Rotary. You can't access it unless you sign up for My Rotary. And once you've done that, then you simply click on Rotary Club Central. It takes you right there. And
it's on Rotary. It's on My Rotary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is down right now.
Which you can't use right now, today. But it'll be back up sooner or later. You know, one thing I learned, and because I was on Rotary International's website this morning and last night, is I keep having to remember that there's hundreds of thousands of people that have access to this all over the world at any time of the day. So there's no great time to get online, and so it just takes a little bit longer sometimes. So anyway, Club Central, very important. And one of the things that we talked about in our breakout session was, wouldn't it be great if everybody in your board had access to everything that's in Club Central? You could cut your board meetings in half in terms of the time if everybody could see what's going on. Instead, you have, everybody has to report on what's going on. Unfortunately, the way it's set up now is only the club president can see everything that's in Club Central. The other key players can only see their sections. Okay. But still, extremely important to get that information in there. It's your best friend as far as being able to find out where your club is and where you're headed. So if we go from there down to the next section on holding club meetings and that keep members engaged and informed, this is part of the idea of engagement, which is key to vibrancy. And what they say is the suggestion is conduct a membership satisfaction survey to find out what your members like and what they don't like, and maybe that can help you with your strategic planning. Okay. The key here is that I wanted to pass on is that the member satisfaction survey is done by all the members in the club. As opposed to the health check, which is done by the senior staff, by the president and or board members. So the satisfaction survey is huge, 47 questions. If you give that survey to your members, it's so long and drawn out that when they get to number 22 or 23, they're just going to start putting check marks in. So recommend that you take about, 8 to 10 of them, what you feel or your board feels are the most important issues, and let them have that. You're much more likely to get, responses that are useful than if you give them the whole thing. Another suggestion that they talk about is, varying your meeting format to include a mix of traditional and online meetings. One of the best things that our club did, if I can give an example, was to have a separate group for our satellite group. It's not a club, separate club. It's not a satellite club, and by definition, it's just a different group of people. They meet in the evenings, and they only meet twice a month. And it's turned out to be extremely successful, and we're growing as a result of that. So, but the whole idea is, find out what how things are going with the satisfaction survey, and try to hold meetings that keep your members engaged. Okay, and a lot of that has to do with the quality of the speakers that you have, for your program, or whatever the program may be.
And remember to get the results of your survey back to the members as well.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever you do these things, the satisfaction survey, make sure that the information gets back to them, and here's what you said, and here's what we're going to do.
Does that satisfaction survey exist as a Survey Monkey useful tool?
You could use that, couldn't you, Jeff?
Sure, but the RI survey is just a document. But my recommendation anyway is not to use that document as it is, but to do something like a Survey Monkey or Google Forms or something that makes it easier for people to fill it out.
Okay. The fourth area that in our path to vibrancy is communicate openly in your club. I don't know if anyone has ever been in a club where you didn't have open communications, especially from the president of the club and the key members of the club that's on the board. But that's really people just don't like surprises. So it's good to keep people informed about what's going on. So that's pretty important. And so it's important to share the information from your club meetings, anything that affects the membership, they should know about. Social media is a great way to do that. And the other thing that they talk about here is if you have different ways to communicate within the club, make sure that you are in compliance with our new brand center instructions. And for this, I'm going to turn it over to Arturo Barrio, who is our public image chair for the district, and also was talking at even the level above that.
Thank you, Bruce. Can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, you may. Do I have to turn mine off?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And I believe I have only 2 minutes, so I'll try to be really fast.
Okay, let's see. How do I just do?
On the top of your screen?
I'll get it, Bruce.
Okay, got it. Okay,
perfect. Thank you.
Go ahead, Arturo.
Perfect. So Bruce was talking about the importance of sharing the information inside and outside our club. Please give me a thumbs up when you see the screen. Surveys were made back in 2015, and about 60% of our community didn't know that they have a local club. In El Paso, we have close to 9, so it's important for us to be able to share that. As you may know, in 2011, Rotary International initiated a global public image campaign. Now, this is important because it created 3 main areas: the membership, public image, and foundation. I'm not going to cover all this in detail, but I wanted to share this with you. As you can see, there are different, can you tell if this represents one organization?
No.
We have all different logos, and I know it's hard for clubs to give them away, but this is our brand master and our signature. And I wanted to talk to you about identity at a glance. That's an overview, and it has the logos and everything, how we should follow them. It's available in the brand center. I'm going to go ahead and post up the link on our chat. And this is the brand center. Let me go ahead and go quickly into that, so you can see the brand center and the great tools that it has for all of us. So let me see what happened to the brand center. Oh. Here we go. Sorry for that. Let's see. Let me go ahead and do this again. Sorry. Here it is. There we go. Perfect. So these are tools that we all have available at the brand center. As Bruce mentioned, you have to go to My Rotary to have access to this. It has information about the People of Action campaign. With People of Action, they realize that 35% of our communities don't know what Rotary does. They're the guidelines, the logos. We already created all the logos for our district clubs. So we're going to make them available in 3 different formats. So you just need to go and copy and paste them, and you can use them. But there's also images and videos that you can use, ads, materials, and we will be glad to help you out with this if you have any questions or need any additional information. But it's pretty easy to use. And thank you, Bruce. I'll pass it over to you.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Louisa.
Is there, like, in the same place, can we get the logos for Rotaract? Or is
I
it?
believe so. Yes, I believe so.
All right, thank you.
And there's also, Lisa, a People of Action photo editor. I don't know if you've seen the pictures that I post that have the logo. You just go to their website and you can get the Rotaract and the different Rotaract logos. So you can post them in your pictures. And it's a lot easier to use than the brand center. I'll put the information on the chat. Thank you, Bruce.
You're welcome. Thank you, Arturo. Okay, moving right along, we're a little bit behind, but that's okay. My personal feeling is these first few of our path to vibrancy are probably the most important. They're all important, but I think those are particularly useful. So the next one is preparing members for future roles to smooth the leadership position. This is nothing more than identifying people. When you go back, hopefully, you've already got your board lined up for your year as for you PEs. But the sooner that you do that, the better off, because now you can begin to plan. But the other thing is, what about the future? Who's going to replace this person who has been the club secretary for 25 years? Or something like that, and how are we going to get them trained? Well, we can ensure, like it says here, ensure continuity by making appointments for multiple years. Usually in our club, if you sign up for a job, you're usually going to have that job for at least 3 years, if not longer. And they can, and the other thing is, if for new people coming in, somebody that wants to be a part of the team, and they need to be trained, you can conduct on-the-job training for those people. And the best way to do that is go to Rotary International, go to the Learning Center. Every single position that you're likely to find in a club, the standard stuff, membership, Rotary International's foundation, the secretary, treasurer, they all have training programs in the Learning Center so that's where I would start. Start there, and then take that information, or take that person and then bring them up to speed on what's happening in your club, and as far as their job is concerned. Moving on to adapting club bylaws. This is pretty straightforward. Don't forget that your bylaws need to be updated. You don't update your constitution, your club constitution, unless you've done either change the name of your club or change the location. Those are the only two things you can change in the Constitution, but you do have the ability to change a lot in your bylaws. So think about, have we done any major changes? For example, satellite groups or satellite clubs. That should be reflected in your club's bylaws. So our club, when we started our satellite group, we added in there how that satellite group was going to be integrated, when they were going to meet, what were the changes as far as dues are concerned. Actually, no dues changes, but there were changes as in fact that they were not required to pay for meals, and so on. And all that needs to be reflected in your bylaw. So just don't forget that. All right, developing strong relationships within your club. Now we're talking about membership. And a lot of this has to do with membership, and that is develop strong relations by introducing, how can we introduce our new members to Rotary? What kind of things can we do? So let me just catch up here. I'd be interested to know from anyone in the audience, do you have a plan for how to introduce a new member to your club that you like to share?
Yeah, I could share something.
Go ahead, Gordon.
We just got 2 new members, and we did an orientation Zoom with them, using materials from Rotary, describing what Rotary is about, what our club is about, and what our club is involved in.
Very good.
And we're trying to get some idea of what are their interests so that we could get them engaged.
Rotary has an orientation guide that is available that you can download from Rotary International. But within the district, we have what we call the SPUR guide, the special program for understanding Rotary. And Jeff, I believe that's now available on Club Runner. Is that true?
Right. It's basically links to Learning Center courses like the one that you did for pre-work.
Right. And that takes you from step one, from the time that the person indicates that they're in, when they're that they're indicating and join, they've indicated they want to join Rotary. One of the most important thing is that you can ask is, what are their expectations? What do they expect from Rotary? And they need to know what to expect from us. But the SPUR program goes through and gives you all kinds of ideas about how to introduce and then how to bring that person in and make them a member of your club. The suggestion about sitting with different people at each meeting is just so you get the people to know the new person. Make sure that person gets around and meets everybody. At our club, our new members become greeters. For the first 6 meetings, I think 4 or 6, I forget. They come early. They're there to greet people as they come in. They get the people to get to know the people that way as well. Next item, make sure all members are involved in activities that generally interest them. I think of all the things that cause people to leave Rotary, it's because their expectations weren't met. I mean, there's other reasons why people leave. They change jobs, whatever. But for people, one of the things that Rotary has been trying to change for the last 20 years is the fact that we lose 50% of all of our new members within the first 3 years. And it's generally because they didn't find, or their expectations about what they were going to find at Rotary that didn't meet what they thought. So it's good, very good idea to sit down with those new members and find out what they expect and what they should expect from us, and we need to know what to expect from them. That's very important. They talk about a member interest survey to find out what sort of things that they're interested in. Most people join because they want to give back to the community. They want to do something to help. Well, let's find out what those things are and maybe get them involved in a project. Maybe they can start up, come up with an idea for a service project. So getting them involved and part of your club as soon as possible is key to keeping members engaged and keeping them in the club. All right, Coach, new members and continuing members. This is closely related to preparing the members for future roles. There's a whole section in the Learning Center at RI on leadership and on the Leadership and Action Guide. If you click on this, it will bring up a cover page, and then you have to click on the different areas that they cover on developing leadership. There's 10 different training programs of various lengths that are available to you, and you can look at each one of those, okay, and figure out which ones are the best or whatever you want to particularly that you need for this particular person in the job that they want to take. But this Leadership Action Guide is all about teaching leadership and building potential leaders for your club. Finally, we get to committees, okay? And in our breakout session, we had PEs from very small clubs, we had PEs from very large clubs, and everybody's a little bit different. But the key here is to simply, for the small clubs, as I think it was Gordon that mentioned this to me, everybody in the club has a job, and because of the size of the club. And so think about how you can combine the work of the different committees for those smaller clubs. Larger clubs, on the other hand, have a lot more leeway. You can create additional committees. Two of my clubs were the Downtown Club in Albuquerque and Albuquerque Del Norte, both large clubs. And I was always amazed at how many subcommittees they had, especially the Downtown Club. I can't even count the number they have. But it's great because everybody's involved. Literally everybody in that club belongs to a committee somewhere, which is, I think, key to keep people engaged. All right. So any questions at all about vibrancy and being a vibrant club before I turn it back over to Jeff?
Appoints the committee chairs. Does the president appoint the committee chairs?
Does the president, okay, the question I think from John Bishop is, does the president appoint committee chairs? Certainly the president can do that. Hopefully there'll be volunteers, but yes, the president does do that. Jeff, anything to add to that?
Yeah, if I understand the question, yes. So the incoming president, you're responsible for determining who's going to be on the board.
On the board, but I'm talking about the committees.
No committees.
Well, so do the committee chairs serve on your board in your club?
No.
Okay, so it still seems reasonable that you're the one that's determining who chairs committees, even if they're not board members.
Okay, thank you.
And remember that the committees that you already have in place, it's very likely that those chairs are there for several years, or hopefully they've committed to several years. So you may not have to change very many, if any, of them out.
Right.
You just need to find out what the situation is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, Jeff, we're done.
And Bruce,
yes.
I just I have a summary of what a vibrant club is in my mind. 3 qualities. It's a vibrant club is fun, a vibrant club is effective, and it's growing. So if you have those 3 qualities in your club, then you have a vibrant club. It's just a matter of how much of each.
Yep.
Keep it simple, right, Bob?
All right.
All right. Thank you very much, Bruce. Before we get into the next section, I'm going to bring up a poll. So give me 1 second.
How well prepared compared to what?
What's a club president?
Are you supposed to answer this right now?
Yeah.
I really like number 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but will you pick it? That's the question. And it is anonymous, so if you pick it, we're not going to call you out.
It is anonymous.
That would be really scary. That would fall under the communication of the club.
Right.
Jeff, Bob, Sonny, I'm going to have to run out, but thanks everybody for your time. I put my contact information. If you have any questions or anything we can help you out with. Thank you. Thank you.
Arturo.
Thank
Have a
you,
great one.
Arturo.
Appreciate your input there.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.
You too. Bye.
Another 10 seconds. Okay. So this, I would say this is kind of what I was expecting. There was 1 vote for the What's a Club president, so thank you for that. So here's the issue for us on the training team. The well prepared and prepared, I'm not surprised at. The few that said not prepared, not surprised at. The not sure is the challenge. Because you don't know. And that's an honest response. And I had mentioned in one of the emails that I sent out to you all that pets can be overwhelming. You might have heard things about it. There's a lot of information. The key is you're not going to leave pets fully understanding everything. But what we'd like is to make sure that for those of you who said you're not sure, that at the end of pets, at the end of this month, you'll be sure. And if there's things that you don't know, you'll have the resources to help you, right? This is not like you're going to get everything in 3 pet sessions. So this is really helpful, and thank you for your response.
At this point, I don't know what I don't know.
Exactly.
That's right. Right. But see, that kind of distribution is why pets is so important, but we're not monolithic. There are some who know quite a bit. There are some that don't. So that know what you don't know, we want to get over that hurdle. Okay. So again, don't hesitate to ask questions and don't assume that you leave pets with President Gestalt. All right. Leading and working with teams. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm hoping for some good questions here too. Can you all see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, this is the theme logo for this upcoming Rotary year. And I believe it's already downloadable from Rotary.org. So you can download the theme to include in your materials. Leading and working with teams. So I was thinking about, how to kind of frame this. So I came up with a few statements for us to consider. Many Rotarians are generally passionate about their Rotary experience. So that's a good thing, right? To have passionate people. We don't want apathetic people. There may be a few, but many Rotarians are generally passionate. Passionate people want to get things done. They don't want to just sit around. That's an attribute of people with passion. It's like the People for Action campaign. Rotarians want to get things done. Okay. But here's the problem. People who want to get things done will often try to do it themselves. Now, that's not everyone, but passionate people can sometimes get impatient, or they feel like they can just go ahead and do it. So, conclusion. If we agree with the first 3 statements generally, leading and working with teams in Rotary requires a common understanding among passionate people. And we talked about a little bit about this in our breakout session. You want to have that common understanding. If you've got differences of opinion, that may be healthy, but you want to work that out. So, requires a common understanding among passionate people that they can work together and do a better job than any of them can do individually. So before we go to the next slide, does that conclusion register with you? Does that make sense? Can you relate?
Sure.
Okay. So with that in mind, common understanding, common purpose, what makes an effective team in our Rotary clubs? So here's just a few attributes. Having clarity and unity on purpose, goal, and plan. And unity does not mean uniformity, right? People are different. We just want everyone on the same page if we're going to have an effective team. Having different perspectives on the team is a good quality to have. We talked about diversity before. We're going to talk more about it next Saturday. You don't want a bunch of yes people on the team. You want different perspectives and you want healthy discussion. Okay? And as I go through these, if you have any personal experiences or if you've got different notions, please feel free to speak up. If you're going to have an effective team, you need to have an effective team leader. We do an exercise in the Rotary Leadership Institute about this. Either someone's been assigned to be the leader or someone just kind of bubbles up and serves in that role. You need to have someone that's kind of keeping the team focused on what it is trying to accomplish. Let's see, chat. Differences are advantages when productivity and wisely applied. Right. Differences are advantages. Diversity is a strength. So, thank you. That was a good point. Having full participation, but that doesn't mean equal, right? Everyone's different. But if you're going to have an effective team, you have full participation, not just one or two people doing everything. That's not sustainable, and it's not good for them. Having clear communication between the team members, so between the team itself, and between the team and the club. So bottom line, we've talked about communication already, it's huge. You don't want teams working in a vacuum. You don't want teams going off on their own doing something and the club has no idea. Clear, continual communication and communication between the members of the team. Especially with Zoom, we're not meeting in person like we used to. That's even more important, that we've got to keep the communication channels open between the team and between the team and the club. And lastly, and maybe most importantly, having opportunities to acknowledge and celebrate success. Celebrate the good news. Recognize each other. I don't know about you all, but this COVID period has been kind of challenging. And it's even more important to recognize and acknowledge and celebrate success because we're living through a difficult period. It's good for our psyche to be acknowledged and say, great job. I will just say, Sonny as the current governor and Bob as the incoming governor and John and Richard who will follow them, the governors do a great job of recognizing successes. They really do. And it is very much appreciated by those of us who see you all do that because it's important. You're part of your job as governors, and for you presidents-elect, part of your job is to be cheerleaders, to motivate. Okay. So some examples of teams in our clubs. So you can think of the board as a team. You want the board to be unified, same goal, same plan, focused, right? And you are likely chairing the board. So you're in that role as a president chairing a board, you want to make sure that they're all in line. They may have differences of opinion, which we've already said is a strength, but you want to honor that and make sure that when push comes to shove, the board is in agreement on what is going to go forward. Okay, what's in the chat? What is your most appropriate thing to do when one of the board members is completely cold and not active in the position? So Louisa put that in the chat. Any feedback or any answers to that? It's a great question. What do you do? Leaders?
Maybe they need some help. Maybe they're not sure what they're supposed to do. And
right.
I would talk to them, and
right.
find out, why they're maybe not engaged.
Yeah, and ideally you would be doing that as part of your vetting for people to serve on the board, right? You want people that are really genuinely interested, that they want to serve. So again, that's kind of like with new members. You want to vet people. So hopefully you figure that out before they serve. But if they're already on the board, then yeah, have a discussion. And boards can change if things are not working out. Right? Did they have training and understand what their position does? We're going to have a club assembly in early May for club committee chairs, like membership chairs and foundation chairs. So if they're new in that role, they're going to have a chance to kind of learn what that role is all about. But you can also explain that to them as an incoming president, give them a high-level view. So great question. Thank you. Other examples of teams. So club committees, we've talked about that. There are standing committees, and there may be ad hoc committees. And again, you want to make sure that they have a leader, that they have a clear charge of what they're supposed to be doing, and that they're in communication with the club. Then we have inter-club collaborations. So there's maybe through a global grant or a district grant, there are teams where clubs are collaborating. Those are excellent. And even stronger and healthier for clubs to work with other clubs. But again, you want to make sure that they know what they're doing They have a leader, they have a charge. What is it they're intended to do? And they're in continual communication, in this case, with multiple clubs. So some of you may be involved in projects that involve other clubs. It's very, very healthy. There may be collaborations with other organizations. They could be other charities in your community. So there could be, work with your local Kiwanis club or some other group that you're working with. And this last one, and we talked about this in our breakout group, the notion of the Council of Presidents. We've got a group in the central area, we've got a group in the south. Hopefully we'll have additional groups throughout our district where the presidents can share and share ideas and what's working and what's not. So that's an opportunity for communication and collaboration and learning from each other, right? It's one thing to get training at PETS, but I will just say much of what you will learn as a president, you will learn from other presidents. And so we really want to kind of leverage this notion of Council of Presidents to have it be district-wide. And maybe that's another opportunity to use Zoom if people are not, close to each other, you can get together and meet. So these are just examples of teams, whatever you want to call them, councils, collaborations, opportunities for Rotarians to get together and work on something collectively. Yeah, any president is welcome to join other councils. Yeah, I mean, again, that's one advantage with Zoom is we don't have to travel. Okay, a few more notions here. What makes an effective team? Just a few notions. Collaboration, we've talked about that. Consensus. So if you've got differences of opinion, you need to try, or the team needs to try to attain consensus, meaning I can live with this. I may not love it, but I can live with it. We've talked it out. They heard my point of view. I heard their points of view, and we can go forward. If you have people that are disagreeable, you're just not going to have an effective team. And that leads into active listening to each other. Did I understand what you said? So sometimes if someone asks me a question, I'll respond by saying, let me first make sure I understand what your question is, because sometimes I may not. But that kind of engagement at the team level is very important. And then this last one, which I mentioned earlier, you want unity, but you don't want uniformity. We're not robots, we're people. But we want to make sure that we're unified. We're all on the same page, okay? Does that seem reasonable? Okay.
Yes.
If it's ineffective, there's compromise. I'm not a big fan of compromise because it means that there's things I still don't agree with, but it's like, well, I'll give you this if you give me that. If you can't get any further and you have to compromise, I would say that's like your last approach. It just doesn't ultimately work. We don't want apathy. We want engagement. It's the opposite of engagement. If you've got people on the team that are apathetic, first question is why are they on the team? But secondly, if they're apathetic, they're not going to add a lot of value. And we really want contributions from everyone on the team. Stubbornness is a problem. We talked a little bit about that before. If they're kind of in that old school and they're not willing to change, they're not going to be effective members of a team, especially if the purpose of the team is to build something new or to improve on something. So, let's see, egos pushed aside, right? Leave your ego at the door, folks. And then, rudderless, that's the idea of not having a leader. They're kind of aimless and meandering. Someone needs to kind of keep the team focused. So just some attributes to consider for effective and ineffective teams.
I think Bill just brought up an excellent point there that I was thinking about as far as a buy-in of the final decision of the team. One thing you don't want is people in the following meeting when the team says, well, this is the direction we're going, somebody in the back of the room that's on the team said, well, it really wasn't my idea.
Oh, yeah.
No,
it's awful.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
and that
awful.
happens. That happens. So everybody's got to buy in, even though you don't agree. Once you decide, everybody's in agreement and they move forward.
when I lead teams and I'm using consensus, when we get to a decision point, I will say, okay, I need every single person on the team, whether you're on Zoom or in person. If you can live with what we just decided, you need to raise your thumb. And if you don't agree, you lower your thumb and we continue to discuss. There's no guilt, no blame. But if you don't agree, I need to see thumbs. And you can't have your thumb go across, meaning you're indecisive. You either thumbs up or your thumbs down. And if it's thumbs down, we don't agree, we keep discussing. And sometimes it takes a while, but it's helpful to get the thumbs up if you're leading a team. Okay, yes.
Yeah, may I just interject one thing? It's implicit in everything you're saying, and I want to call it out expressly, and that is that as a team leader, one of your primary functions is to provide vision. That when there is an inspiring purpose underlying or leading all the decisions, it's much easier to get alignment. People are on to make something extraordinary happen.
Absolutely. Well, and again, as I mentioned before, I think one thing about our governors is they are visionary. And it's helpful for all of us in our district and in our clubs to be led by someone that is visionary and not someone that their mantra is just stay the course. Everything's fine, you know, everything is copacetic, we're all good.
Or make it happen, make it happen. I don't care how you do it, just make it happen. That's pretty
Exactly.
close too.
Okay, in big, bold font, folks, as president, you can forge your club into an effective team with you as its leader. You know, I mean, the club is a group of people, and it would be nice if they were also unified, on the same page, moving in the same direction, collectively, hand in hand. So if you're a president-elect now, what's really important is to observe the membership. Are they a team now? Are they collective? Are they unified? And if they're not, what can you do before you become president to kind of plant seeds and see if you can get them to a position where they'll be more unified than maybe they are now? So what does that mean? Get to know your club, get to know the individual members, and get to know them as a group, right? Observe. And again, on Zoom, it's a little bit tricky because you're not observing them in person, you're observing them on computer screens. But still observe them. Some are going to be the talkers, some are going to be the doers, some are going to be the naysayers, some are going to be the apathy, arms crossed, you know. Get to know them, get to understand them, talk with them, listen to them. Great time to do that now if you haven't already.
Maybe this is outrageous, but I would say also love them.
Yes. Agreed.
Thank you.
Listen to them and demonstrate that you heard them. So I would say the second part is even more important. You may be listening to them, but you need to reflect back that you're hearing them. Because if you don't, they may not trust you. They may not say, yeah, I really had a good discussion with the incoming president. I think he understands my point of view. Well, if you don't respond to what they're saying, they're likely not going to think that you understand their point of view. You just sat there. So again, that active listening and responding. Your club is not monolithic. Diversity is a strength. And we're going to talk a lot about diversity during PETS, but it is a strength, and we should be motivated to improve and grow with our diversity. Don't be afraid of it. It's a strength. Okay? Be visionary. So Sunny mentioned that a few minutes ago. And here's the thing. The other club members may not be. You know, they're not thinking, you know, ahead, typically. You need to be, if you're a president-elect. And you may be the only one in the club that's thinking ahead, but you've got to keep your eye on the goals and what are you trying to accomplish and how are things going. Sometimes not being part of a team can be a good thing. A good president can recognize that and encourage it. Right. There may just be some people that's just not how they operate. Someone mentioned earlier, though, I think it was Bruce in the Vibrant Club discussion, some clubs will say everyone on the club needs to be on a committee. I think that's reasonable. But if someone just doesn't want to be on a committee, it's like, well, okay, if you're not going to serve on a committee, what's going to be your role in the club? How can you add value if you're not going to serve on a committee? And maybe they have an idea. But everyone should have some role or some value that they're adding to the club to help the club grow and prosper.
And one of your roles can be that of casting director, learning to discover the strengths that everyone brings and finding them the role that fits.
Yep. Thank you, Sunny. And the last one here, be clear. And there's a lot of implications to being clear. Be clear in intent. Don't hide what your intent is. If you're an incoming president, let the membership know what your intent is. What are you wanting us to do and to grow and add to our club to be more vibrant? Be clear about that and be clear in your communication. Language is important. And so be clear about that and be consistent. The members are wanting a leader that is clearly and consistently communicating, reinforcing, not going back and forth and meandering. It doesn't help. So be very clear, because if you want a unified group of people, they're going to be unified around your clarity. So there's a strong correlation there. The clearer you are, the more unified your teams will be and the club will be.
Jeff?
Yes, sir.
No, go on. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to ask just temporarily.
Okay. We only have 2 minutes left. So instead of this being a discussion item, we'll just leave you with this. So self-reflection. What are you discovering about your team as president-elect that will help you when you become club president? What are you learning about the members, individually, collectively? And I would say, jot it down. I'm not going to remember when I was club president or president-elect. So just jot down notes about people and groups, things that you're observing and discovering. And what challenges do you foresee understanding your membership that we in the district leadership can help you to be a more effective club leader? We have a number of assistant governors and lieutenant governors that are joining us today and joining us throughout PETS. We are extremely appreciative for them. They've already been presidents, right? They're here to help you. So you're not in this alone. If you notice things that you think you're going to struggle with, whether it's personal or whether it's just based on the membership, ask for help. Your assistant governor is here to help you. The district leadership team is here to help you. That's our primary job. That's why we exist. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we do have a question in the chat. How do you do with apathy?
Can any member be a member of any committee?
Can any member? It's up to the club. I don't know. I don't know if there's a right or wrong to that. It really just depends. Typically, people will ask, what's your passion? What committee do you want to serve on? To kind of embrace what you're interested in. Because again, if they're not, they're going to be apathetic. Yeah. So Sunny replied through the chat to Kathy's question. I would just add to that, you don't change apathy overnight. It can be chronic and it may take some time, but if you honestly and openly demonstrate to that person that you want them involved. You know, what are you interested in and how can we help you? It's more likely they're going to be a little bit less apathetic than they are. It's tough because it didn't happen overnight, right? Anything that's chronic, it took time. So hopefully that was helpful. Yes. Acknowledgement works too. Yeah. All right. I hope that was helpful. And again, those last two questions, I would say things to think about if you're incoming presidents, and reach out for help and get the help between now and July, right? Get as much clarity and understanding as you can before the presidential year starts, because once it starts, you're off and running. So, okay. It is time to turn it over to another awesome trainer, awesome compared, with Bruce, Jesse Allen, who also had been previous district trainer. So Jesse, walk us through the next section, please. Jesse, are you on mute?
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to talk about running meetings. And we're going to talk about two aspects of running meetings. Just generally, what makes a good meeting, but in this day and age of virtual meeting, what makes a good meeting there. In general, a real key fundamental is just have good content. Probably one of the real keys is speakers. Have varied topics. Don't just do fundraisers. Don't just do military or something. Have a variety. Find speakers that have an insight, maybe that have firsthand experience with whatever their topic is. Dynamic presenters can be a challenge to specifically identify them, and encourage videos from your speakers. So this is an area where I'm really pleased. Our club president this year is driving our speakers, and she's out finding speakers from all over the country. I don't think we've had but maybe one or two that are actually local speakers. So speakers is key. Relevant topics. Make sure in your meeting you're covering what's happening with your fundraisers, what's happening with your projects, what's happening in the district. Announce things that are upcoming. You can find a lot of good Rotary videos on the RI site that you could be playing. So here I'm getting back to examples of what could be good ideas. These are things we've had in our club. I really believe the speaker is key. Since COVID started, we've had a Hiroshima survivor talk, a person who was in the Japanese internment camps, local historians. I've seen a mayor at another club. We had somebody come and talk about Lieutenant Penitentiary. We've had people come present human trafficking, polio eradication. RILA counselors, if you do RILA, make sure you have speakers from RILA. But focus on top-notch content. So those are a couple of things to make a good meeting. Another one is make it organized and familiar. I think a lot of clubs I see have a fairly standard structure, but people like the comfort of a standard sequence. Have time before the meeting to visit. Have greeters, have a bell, invocation, pledge. This is roughly our club's particular flow. There's nothing magic about the flow, but I would suggest have a consistent format. Make it fun. Do you have happy dollars? When we started out in COVID, we hesitated because, well, we can't collect dollars. Well, we realized everybody say a happy dollar and somebody keeps track of it and we put it on your bill. So keep doing happy dollars. Have members present things. This would be a comment for the president. I've seen presidents that get up and they do all the announcements themselves. If you've got somebody in the club that's tied to something that's being announced, have them introduce it. Give them ownership. Involve members. We call it a Rotary Reveal, where every week one of our members talks about 5 minutes about themselves or something they're passionate about. It's a way of connecting members. So we've been doing that all through COVID, and we're most of the way through our membership roster now. And certainly encourage QA for your speakers. So involve people, get people to be actively part of the meeting. Make it personal. Have an official greeter. Do hugs. I mean, we can't do hugs right now, but you know, some clubs can be have a lot of fun with this. Fines, I know we don't do fines, but actually fines can be a fun activity. Make it fun. Have a field trip. I know in past years, we've gone out to see our local airplane museum. We've gone to do a history walk with a local historian around downtown El Paso. Try things that are different. Another one is have interactive meetings. A meeting where members maybe tell story about themselves or have a guessing game. You can have fun. It doesn't have to be just a talk. Involve people, have a greeter, have somebody, even in COVID, have somebody identified as a greeter. Members to present where possible. That's what I mentioned a while ago. I mentioned those other two already. Use visuals. Now, we haven't always done this, but I think it's always a good idea to have a PowerPoint. You know, something on the screen so people kind of see the flow. You don't have to read off it. It doesn't have to be detailed. But some kind of visual to guide the meeting is helpful, especially in these virtual times. Photos. This would be great in person. Maybe have photos rolling on a screen of your club projects, pictures of your members. You can do videos portraying your projects or other Rotary projects. This could be looping while you're getting ready. And always manage your time. People want to get started. They want to know when you're going to start. They want to know you're going to end on time. So keep an eye on the time. Keep it moving. I think many meetings can get really lost and lose energy if you don't keep it meeting. Eliminate blanks. Like particularly, I remember years ago going to meetings where somebody would say, well, now Tom's going to lead the 4-way test. And you wait for Tom to walk forward. Have everything planned so you don't have gaps. Make sure your speaker is aware of your times, how long they have. This can be an issue in person, particularly. Sometimes a speaker gets out of hand. A recommendation I always followed was when it's their time to be done, stand up. If they're really getting late, go up and stand beside them. You know, don't say you're out of time, but do subtle things with body language to tell them, hey, your time's up.
When they're 10 minutes late, pull the fire alarm.
Yeah, when they're 10 minutes late, yeah. You kind of have to grab the microphone. And there are occasionally those cases where you do that. Also on the speaker introduction, make sure you've got a good speaker introduction. Make sure it's exciting, that you're telling what the person's going to do, but you're not trying to give a 10-minute biography. Your goal is to get the audience to know who's speaking, why they're important, why we should be excited to hear this person. The topic was to talk about board meetings and general meetings. I throw this in because board meetings are really a bit different, but content is key. And distribute your agendas before the board meeting. Give people a chance to think about what you're going to talk about. Stick to the agenda. Have all the board members present. Maybe do it as a, go around the table, make sure everybody is participating, kind of what Jeff was saying. You don't have to participate equally, but you want everybody to participate. Follow your bylaws. Everybody's board meeting may be different. Make sure you know your bylaws and document it with minutes. This may seem trivial, but I've known numerous cases where people felt we need to go back to the bylaws to see what did we agree on because of some conflict at a later date. I would say consider proxies to reach quorum. And I say this because I know some clubs will have boards that they don't have enough people show up to make quorum. When I was president, I told all my board members, I expect you to be at the board meeting or designate somebody who's your proxy. I always had quorum. So as I mentioned, part of the talk is about those are general guidelines. This is about virtual meetings. And my comment is, I feel these are the things we do. We've been successful. Our attendance at Zoom meetings is almost always better than our face-to-face attendance. So I feel these things are working. First of all, everything I said still applies. Educate your users. Make sure everybody knows how to mute and turn their graphics on. Advise them. Now here, everybody looks pretty good. So I think a lot of us have got good advice, but I still see some people with strong backlight or poor lighting or bad setting. Help users with content. Actively talk to them. When we started on Zoom, I got a list of everybody that was not attending, and I called them and I made sure they were connected and knew how to use things. And I would say there were 3 or 4 members that probably would never have connected if I hadn't done that. This one is probably not as obvious. Have a Zoom host, not the speaker. If you have the speaker running the Zoom session, you have the challenge that when there's a technical problem, the person running the meeting gets sidetracked dealing with Zoom. So we make a point that we always have our president running the meeting, and I am running the Zoom session. I hope everybody sees that issue there. But it's always best to have a separate person running it, because the Zoom host then can manage the display of a PowerPoint that drives the meeting, can share presentations for people, manage muting people, spotlighting speakers, and just generally deal with technical issues. So I would always have 2 separate people. Controlling sound. Our approach, which is pretty much what Jeff is doing here, is asking everybody to mute to start with, unmute as needed, and then you only deal with chat if that's not working. We have no problem with this. Just everybody stays muted. We have an approach where we use for virtual meetings a master PowerPoint. And the master PowerPoint is really just a slide for each thing that's happening. The four-way test, the pledge, the speaker, happy dollars, announcements of projects in these. But it's a way to keep things flowing. And it also is a cue to let everybody know when their turn is up. So when you see Tom Thomas appear on the screen and it says pledge, that's his cue to know that it's his turn to proceed. Also, if you have a PowerPoint that you're driving things from, you can keep the pace of the meeting up. So when I hear the pledge and justice for all, when I hear the last words, I click on the next slide. So we keep the pace of the meeting going. Plan your meeting. Good meetings don't just happen. Plan the PowerPoint. We review the PowerPoint with the secretary, president, and me every week, the day before a meeting. We talk about what we're going to do, who's going to be in it, any issues. If you do anything new, like a game or an unusual speaker, practice it. Rehearse things with the speaker if there's any question. I heard this advice at a zone discussion. Think of attention span and entertainment. When you're online, who are you competing with? Are you competing with another Rotary Club or just with your regular meetings? Online, you're competing with all the slick videos on YouTube, all the online content. So think of the entertainment value. You want your presentation to be smooth, good looking, not just casual and haphazard. So you want to keep the energy up, keep things moving. Graphics help. Video helps if you can. Custom slide formats. Audio adds a little bit of a touch. We ring the bell, just like we always have. And I have a bell on the PowerPoint that sounds just like our bell. But think entertainment. I don't know if y'all think of this, but there's a spotlight feature in Zoom. So here in this session, when we talk, if someone right now had their dog bark, they would appear on the screen. But you have a spotlight feature in PowerPoint, in a Zoom, I mean, where you can set a single person to be on the screen and other noises will not trigger that to change. I suggest using that. Actively support your speakers. Don't just assume they're going to show up and know how to do things or do things smoothly. Our speaker for this coming Monday, I've been talking to him. He talks to Rotary clubs all the time, but he's never done it through Zoom. So I had to make sure he was set up with Zoom, knew how to run it. He went out and bought a video camera. So it is not, don't just assume that your speakers will know what to do. I try to practice things with them before the meeting. And I always ask them to let me share videos, because almost every time a speaker shares a video, there's a problem. A couple of things: if you share audio, you have to click on share sound. If you share a video, you need to optimize it for video clip, otherwise it will be jerky. So if any of you ever share a video and people complain about it, go back and check this option. Share a video. Again, it's best if someone with a fast internet does it. I said 20 megabit. That's a bad number. I'm not really sure I could tell you what number, but I know about 10 megabytes works well. And be aware of lag. There is just an inherent lag in the technologies we're dealing with. And the lag is that from the time someone does something or says something, there is a gap until the whole group hears it or sees it. And depending on your connections, that lag can be significant. As a comment, if you have ever tried to sing or recite things in unison, it doesn't work. And it's not you, it's just inherent in the technology and the way it's implemented. Unless you have everybody on incredibly high throughput internet connections, it's just never going to work.
Hey, Jesse,
Yes.
what is the correct protocol for saying the Pledge of Allegiance? Are you if you tell everybody to please stand, which you would in person, then you end up looking at everybody's belt buckle.
Well, you know, I've seen different things. I've joined some other clubs. Some people literally do stand up. In our club, we realized unison doesn't work. So we mute everybody and we just have the people leading it say, please follow me. Or very typically they'll say, please put your hand over your heart. We leave it up to the individual. But we do have only one person say the pledge, only one person do the four-way test. And generally they'll say, please join me or follow me. But by that point in our PowerPoint, I've already muted everybody. So unless they've unmuted themselves, we don't have a problem.
Do you ever do an honor your country moment and let the you know, someone decide on maybe they like to sing America the Beautiful, or?
You know, I think that's a good idea. We haven't gone there, but I think that would be a good idea. I think the challenge I have seen, I joined another club meeting and they had some really cool music, but without the right microphone setup, it may seem a little flat. They actually had a band and it was really a cool presentation, but the audio was just not up to snuff. That's another great example where I'd say practice it.
Jesse,
yeah.
This is Jimmy Melva from the Northeast Rotary Club. We happen to have a choir director from our church as a member. And so we always sing, and we actually have a book that we produce for our club that has all the hymns of all the songs. And so the director will pick out, go to page so-and-so, and we'll lead the singing. So we sing at every Rotary Club meeting.
And you do it in unison?
Yep, we sure do.
I need to come visit your club because I've never.
Yeah, you need to come and visit us.
If I can say, this is Jason Perry from Roswell Rotary. We of course we're not meeting, we're meeting virtually right now, but we do that. I'm actually the pianist for our Rotary Club, and we sing a patriotic song every week. It may be America the Beautiful, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, God Bless America, My Country 'Tis of Thee, and then we sing a fun one out of the Rotary book. It may be Old MacDonald Had a Farm, or Bicycle Built for Two, or School Days. Just some of the fun songs, Row, Row, Row Your Boat. And we have a lot of fun with that. And when we don't have that, it sort of, it makes Rotary a little different. So I encourage it. It's been a good thing for us.
Well, that's good to hear. Every time I've ever seen people try it, it's been a disaster, but I'd like to go see those. And I agree. I always liked it when we were still a singing club.
Our club song is disaster when everyone does it. So we just do one person doing it.
Yeah.
I will tell you, somebody that likes to go visit other clubs, I love to go to the Albuquerque Downtown Club because when you're a visitor, they sing to you. And that was such a surprise, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, cool. Speaker opportunities, I'd say right now, this is a time when you can reach out and try speakers that are just awesome. Our president, goes to places like the CBS Sunday morning show that Jane Pauley has. She looks at New York Times, Washington Post, finds national speakers. So don't be timid. People want to talk. You can find some really cool speakers.
Is there a speaker bureau of some type?
There is a speaker bureau. Sunny, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. We are building our speakers bureau list right now. It's available as a link on the homepage of our district website, rotary5520.org. You'll see a button there for Speakers Bureau. If you have great speakers and they're not on that list yet, please let Dawnette Wagner know and she'll add them. We ask, they don't have to be Rotarians. We ask that they be non-political and non-religious.
And don't forget your members. All clubs have very dynamic people with interesting backgrounds that could be excellent speakers as well.
Oh, yeah. So a final slide here, keep it personal. Greet everybody. I've joined one meeting where I was just appalled. Nobody said hi to anybody before the meeting. I mean, the mics at our club, the mics are open. Everybody talks when you come in. Everybody is greeted. Keep the Zoom open after the meeting. Encourage people to talk. Do happy dollars. I talked about Rotary Reveal. And play games. Our club has played around with treasure hunt, with trivia. We've done some different games. And you have the slides. I'd welcome anybody to come join our meeting or give me a call. There's my contact information. If you want to join a meeting, let me know.
Hey, Jesse.
Yes.
Yeah, the couple points that I would like to add, you touched on it when you talked about planning the meeting, but we always share an agenda so that people know exactly what's going to be happening that day.
Yeah.
And I think that helps the meeting go better. And then the other thing that I've noticed, and I did a lot of teaching for universities online, and humor comes across totally differently on Zoom than it does in person, especially satire, and so or sarcasm, and so you have to be careful about your humor.
Yes. And on your thing about agenda and announcements, particularly with Zoom, send out messages via text and or email so that people can just click on the link from their email. But I agree completely on what you said there about agendas. Any other last minute questions, comments? Okay, Jeff.
Awesome, Jesse. Thank you. All right, we are going to close. Bob is going to close, and then I have a few announcements for Club Runner and things like that. So, Bob, do you want to go ahead and do the closing?
Thank you. What a way to get started. Excellent participation and involvement. I'm really pleased with how many people have joined us today. I think it's one is a factor of the Zoom, and the other is the knowledge of what a wonderful trainer Jeff and his team are. I look forward to continuing this in a week's time. Please, if you haven't already, register for next week and the last one, so we have a good feeling for the numbers. But the quality and the intensity and the entertainment values are going to continue on. So I look forward to working with you next week as well. See you then.
Okay, so The sign is backwards, but I think it says create something.
Great job.
Great job. Oh, great. Okay. Yes. Great. Okay. So a few things. One is you have a homework assignment. Think about your personal aspirations for your upcoming year as club president, obviously, if you're a president-elect. And if you're a president-elect, you also should be thinking about your personal aspirations. You just have an additional year. Just think about it, and when we reconvene next week, we'll have some discussions and kind of get an idea of what you would like to personally see. These are not club goals. These are just your personal aspirations, okay? All right. As Bob said, please register for next Saturday and for the session a few weeks after. They are separate links in the district website. This session is being recorded, and I will send you out the link later today or tomorrow. If you're having those club runner issues accessing the files, and some of you have already done this, email me, let me know that you can't access it or something, and I will work with you. The only thing I can't do is I can't set up a login. If you're having a problem with your login, you need to work with your club secretary, or if your club secretary can't help you, contact Annette Wagner. But anything else about access to that file area, I can help you with. And as Bob asked, as a reminder, if you're in the governor's string or you're on the training team, please stay after. And last reminder is that we will want your feedback, but the survey will be sent out after the last session later this month. With that, thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your beautiful Saturday. And again, trainers and governors, please stay on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.